Normally, I'm not an extemporaneous type of person unless it comes to facts and figures, so I've written down some points that I'd like to make. So dear ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, I wanted to say a few words on behalf of my mother. As a true artist, she faces a dilemma. The process of creating her paintings is where the most effort and pleasure comes from. The dilemma comes from how to share and value the art, because ultimately art is subjective. It is for this reason that we're all very appreciative that you've all come to look at these paintings, and especially folks such as Barbara Wortley, Jenny Finstead, Barbara from Seattle, and Jenny from Australia. I've watched my mother paint for decades, and I can truly describe it as a labor of love. It takes days to conceptualize a painting, from small sketches to larger ones, to actually making that first stroke on the canvas. It then takes weeks to create that work, and it's a work that she iterates on and constantly to ensure that she captures the right expression and she tells a story. She's not trying to simply paint a portrait, she's trying to get you to empathize with a person's point of life. And all of this is done knowing that one of you may walk by and spend 30 seconds looking at it and may never think about it again, and one of you may walk by, put it in your living room, and spend the next 25 years looking at it. As Edgar Degas once said, art is not what you see, it is what you make others see. But as I mentioned, she doesn't paint for the pure sake of selling her art. She paints because this is how she best reflects her moods, her feelings, and her ability to share her experiences. That's why for many of you who followed her art, the style has changed from Indian abstract art to detailed faces, to contemporary New York scenes, to sketches of Africa that you see today. Her style has changed because her experiences have changed. I can't even remember how many times she's been told by gallery owners that she's too old to change her style. And if she wants to sell more paintings, she should stick to one style. In fact, I've been in meetings with art critics where they said, please make small, miniature, monochromatic art. I've been in meetings where they said, please make large, colorful, abstract art. And at the end of the day, if you've come to this exhibition to see a picture of Adolf Hitler nude pregnant, or a painting which you could have painted yourself, you won't see that at this exhibition. You will see paintings that you wonder how on earth she created them. And I still do today, despite the fact that I've seen her create them step by step. What you see today are works of a true artist. She wants to learn, she wants to challenge herself, and she wants to be the best artist possible. So the question then is, why the topic of Africa? Clearly it's not for commercial reasons. It's for a very simple reason. And that's because she's been visiting Africa for decades and she's fallen in love with the continent. I remember I visited Africa with them 25 years ago. And I thought to myself, why on earth am I waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, living in tents, and looking at animals' feet? And today when I look at those paintings, I'm kicking myself because I see, why has it been 25 years since I've last gone to Africa? This understanding of Africa is really reflected in her subject matter, as it gives you a window into how she views the continent in its most natural and magnificent form. This is why you see the face of a child peering through a window, and why you see 2 elephants engaging in battle, because this is Africa, a continent of simultaneous violence and tranquility. I would also like to highlight that for this exhibition, she's decided to take it one step further, her love for Africa, and that's to donate 30% of her proceeds to the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund. This fund is dedicated to helping children across 780 projects in South Africa and other parts of Africa. And for those of you who wonder, and for those of you in the finance line like myself, you're always thinking, well, what's my return on investment? Well, I can guarantee you one thing. If you buy her art, you just truly get pleasure for many decades, but you're going to help out a child as well. Before I conclude, I'd like to thank many people on my mother's behalf. I'd like to thank Mr. Koh, Chairman of the National Arts Gallery, for kindly opening this exhibition. Mr. Koh has been a champion of the arts in Singapore for many years. We're very honored by your presence. Thank you. I'd also like to thank the talented people of the Arts House, including Ming Yan, Angeline, Colin, William, Sherian, Kirsty, and Agna, without whom we wouldn't have had this exhibition in such a marvelous location. And I would also like to thank Mr. H.S. Chong, who introduced my sister Mita to the Arts House. Meetha, as you might not know, has been pivotal to this whole exhibition. She's been involved in every facet to make sure that it's executed to perfection. In addition, we'd like to thank my wife Karen for developing the website and designing the brochure and providing creative input so that my mother's art could reach a much broader audience. And finally, to thank my father, who in my mother's words, constantly encouraged her, constantly goaded her, and pushed her onto this journey. Let me conclude by reading a poem that my father wrote about my mother's love for Africa and her trips to Africa. It's entitled Africa Where Nature Dances, an Artist's Journey. She beams with joy as we touch down in Joburg, our angled visit to Africa, seduced by its wildlife, folks, fauna, and flora, always beckoning us back without ever saying goodbye. She beams with joy as we travel on tiny planes, mukaroos, jeeps, Land Rovers, and by foot, seduced by the stunning beauty of vast landscapes, bold sunrises, fleeting sunsets, always beckoning us back without ever saying goodbye. She beams with joy at the tall Maasai men, the leopards resting after a kill, gentle elephants becoming ferocious attackers, migrating zebras and wildebeest, huge butterflies, scents of thousand flowers, exotic locations, always beckoning us back without us ever saying goodbye. She beams with joy in her journey of furious sketching and notations for later paintings. Together, we watch nature's dances, millions forms and poses, always beckoning us back without ever saying goodbye. She beams with joy, her sights become pictures. I, being her father, overwhelmed by sounds and smells of births, lives, and deaths, attempt poetry, the cosmic dance, and together we will always go back. Thank you very much, and please enjoy the artwork.